Okay, got here 1948 Wd9 with a 6.2 diesel in it out of a 86 Chevy pickup. Figured just do a little rundown on how I made all the clutch stuff work. Well, let's start with here. Flywheel is off, 6.2 diesel, had 4-speed transmission in it. Pressure plate is matched up with the flywheel for the pickup. The disc is the Wd9 disc. It's the same diameter as the disc that was in the pickup, so that fits in there. Pressure plate, there's a different thickness in the disc itself, which changed how the fingers work. Put the disc in and then re-bent the fingers so they actually contact. This is throw-up bearing from the tractor sleeve in the tractor. I'll come around this side. In factory position, this throw-up bearing is actually bolted on the back side. The reason this moved forward is because all the clutch assembly is farther forward than it would have been in the tractor. The disc might have been here, now it's over here. Throw-up bearing, unbolted it, moved it forward. This is still the same pinion shaft that was always in there. I haven't pulled it out, but I think I milled down the end of the shaft because I had to make a custom throw-up bearing, bushing, for the 6.2. In, say, like pickup form, like in the 6.2s, I think it was a bearing as a bushing. Well, that won't work in this, so it took a piece of brass round stock, milled down so it fit into the sleeve, and then turned down the outside so it would fit in the dimension. So that fits in, and then turned it down to pinion shaft. And I can't remember if I milled the pinion down or not. Plate is, well, made this all out of a piece of 1/2-inch steel, but I ran a CNC mill so couldn't get the holes in the right spot. Took the original plate for the W9, measured where center was, and then from the edge of that was able to overlay where the small block Chevy pattern centered based on where the center of the pinion shaft was. This plate was bigger when I milled it. Once I got everything milled, dowel points, all that fun stuff, bolted it on. Made the new blocks. Also was able to mill. So this isn't guess, these are dead accurate. Built a fixture to make this. I have the fixture. Can make more if I need be or if somebody paid me. Only thing I ever got a little bit off is the thickness of my blocks. I had to shim under here just, oh, it's right there. Just that much. Probably could have raised it up another 1/16 of an inch. So maybe make this an 1/8 inch plate. Because put everything together. First time ran the clutch forward, it cracked this right here. And then dropped it down. And then while it was where it wanted, obviously true because I'm a little bit off, but not a lot, re-welded it so it broke and now it's welded where it wanted to be. The forks are steel in these tractors, so they can be welded. Because I moved this forward, this would have been up here, this had to be lengthened. So I cut them, welded them. I'm a structural welder, so they ain't going anywhere. I know what I'm doing. Lengthened that up so that I could push this far enough forward. I did with the disc, because there's so much spline on the tractor and the pickups to fit inside the housing, cut off the excess spline. Still got more than enough to hold on there, but just cut that down so it fit inside the disc. So tractor disc inside pressure plate. Because move the dimensions on that, this moves farther forward. This was just simple enough. Just cut this, shorten it, re-weld it. Works fine. And these old tractors are tough. That's full compression, let off. It's got enough where it's not going to ride in disc. You've seen me spin that. That's fine. But because I made these blocks, this fixture, can redo that again. To do the front of the motor, I can't see very well, but in here I have the original mounts that go to the motor. They are cut in there, and they're living right there. I'll put them in place so they fit in there, but they're not going to be able to hold up. I'm just sitting there. So where the factory mount went, drilled a bar, put it through here, put some plates underneath, and to find center, didn't just guess on this one, had blocks made, like 2.5 inches and a 1-inch center, front and rear, so it stabilized it. Got a piece of round shaft, ran it through here, into here, and the center part of the crankshafts on the 6.2s, they go from that down to that, so it's a recessed sleeve. Turned down the end of the shaft, and then lifted the motor up until I could take this shaft I've cut it down obviously, so I don't need it all the way, and I could just spin it with my fingers. If it gets up too high, it bind. Get down too low, bind. So it had to be dead center because the crankshaft pinion is right there. Probably turn that into some kind of pump drive or something else, or balance it later. Could take this off, and all I'd have to do is put a sleeve around this and another 1-inch shaft, and could just reuse that to make another one. I don't have a fixture for locating the front mounts yet. I have to pull the motor out to put a new starter in. I've got a gear reduction starter off 6.5. This is the old standard 6.2 starter. It lives in there. It's tight. Only thing I had to do, because of the size, is heat up the cast and kind of just burn some of the cast off. And if anybody's ever tried to torch cast, you know how well that doesn't work. But burned off enough so the starter could live in that location. Now, say if you did this on small block Chevy, probably wouldn't have that much of an issue. Used combine radiator because it's brass, it's pressurized. Tractors don't need to be pressurized, the vehicles do. So the water goes down, up, comes around. This is a solid piece of steel. Runs across the front and then matches up with the radiator. Only issue I had on that, and I used what I had. Combine radiator is probably 1.5 inches higher. So going to redo the sheet metal on the hood to essentially raise that up, and then we'll have to make the rods longer in the tank and some braces or whatever to raise tank up so everything lives in here. You can't hardly see this hiding. Get everything painted. When I painted things after I built them, I used what I had. I had blue laying around, so that's blue, that's blue. This is orange from a Case Terror track I rebuilt. Try and get everything red. The exhaust plan is to come here, kind of tuck up, and then out the hood like it's supposed to. Only other thing is, when I bought all the parts of the tractor, they had a gas hood. But it was actually a distillate hood, because it still had the hole for the little gas tank, but the exhaust pipe is on that side, same as the air cleaner, whereas diesels are offset. I haven't decided whether I'm just going to weld that hole in and move it over so the exhaust is where the diesel goes, or just run twin stacks up. But I think I just want the one, because when it's running, this idles, it acts just like a W9. Just clack, 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 clacks along. You look straight from the side, you see a little bit of pipe. Straight from the front back, you can't tell until you actually see it running. But that's it. I'm gonna just get everything prettied up here. Got tractor pull coming in a couple of weeks. Might make a fixture for the front one. So if anybody wants fixtures, I like to build things. Might be able to make more. No real promises on that one. Rest of it is, well, it sat for a long time when I bought it. It sat in the ground up to the point where this was laying on the ground. All this was submerged and buried. Rims were shot. There were some other W9s and Wd9s to pick out. The reason I like this one, somebody took the time to widen the fenders out and did not do a horrible job. All I got to do now is grind putty and make this like the 660s kind of style fenders where they're just wide and smooth. But I paint things as I fix them. So we're going to have red stuff, and then we're going to have ghetto stuff going that way until we can take the time to do these right. But if you watch the whole thing, thank you for watching. And car 18 tires on tractor rims, if you're ever curious how that looks. Call it my hot rod tractor. That's pretty much it. We've got little tires up front, big old tires in the rear and fenders, and a V8 where a tractor engine should be. But, oh well.